Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis, and it's new. No, it's not new comic book day, is it? It's Comic Roundtable. Boy, that's somebody here to give me direction. I don't even know what I'm talking about. It is just me tonight. Everyone else was busy, it seems. I'm rubbing my hands because it is really cold in my basement tonight. I don't know what's up with that. Have the heater running, but it does not seem to matter. Anyway, I'm gonna talk some books by myself for a little bit. And yeah, chat is open. You could chat with me if you happen to be here live, or leave some comments and maybe I'll get back to you. I've been really horrible about not getting back to people lately when they comment on the shows. But anyway, I'll be here and I'll be talking comics. Stay Puff, he's gonna be here with me. So let's talk some comics. We're gonna do the usual thing. We're gonna talk some Marvel. I only got one Marvel book 2 weeks ago, and that was Ms. Marvel, issue number 38. The legacy number is 57. I do wonder if the legacy number is going to carry over into the new Ms. Marvel book. The Marvelous Ms. Marvel, I believe, is what it is going to be called. So this is celebrating 5 years of Ms. Marvel. It's the final issue of G. Willow Wilson writing the book, and of course, it's going to be retitled. And Ahmad is going to be writing it. I'm looking forward to that. He's done Black Bolt, Miles Morales, Spider-Man. As far as Marvel stuff goes, he wrote a book called Abbott that I really liked a lot. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. He's a Muslim American, I believe. So that aspect of the character, I'm assuming, will continue to have its authenticity. So anyway, this issue in particular, it is a laundry list of names here. It is like a couple pages each of people writing it. Julia Wilson sets it up to begin with, and then it kind of different writers and artists take it throughout the book. Kind of a swan song, a basic gathering of the core cast of characters, and kind of pulls them through a dimensional tunnel. They basically go to realities where they have to basically do the equivalent of play a video game. Very G. Willow Wilson as far as that goes, and very much Ms. Marvel. And they work their way through that and kind of looking at their friendships and that sort of thing. Fairly simple, not really complex. I would have liked just a G. Willow Wilson, if we're going to do a swan song for her, just really do one. To pay homage to the character. I feel like that didn't really happen in this, as far as that goes. So it's all right. Like I said, I'm looking forward to. I don't think that the part in here that was done by Ahmad also was. I don't think that's the artist that's going to be going forward. So it's just the last pages, 19 through 21. I do want to know, though, at the very, very end of this, after the letters page, you get a letters page. There is this one page comic that seems to be. I don't know who is credited for this, but it is awesome. Because it is basically a whole lot of just mood more than anything. They've got this gas station and you can buzz there, and there's Ms. Marvel up there because, of course, she has to stop at all convenience stores and eat stuff all the time because of her powers. And she's sitting there texting to somebody saying, hey, I'm just hanging out on the outskirts of town, so she can see the stars better. I really like the ending of that. So, yeah, so I'm really, I dug that, and it wasn't bad. I mean, like I said, the comic was fine. It was fun. It had all the typical Ms. Marvel moments and whatnot. But like I said, I'm looking forward to the new book and seeing what that's going to be. Oh, magnificent Ms. Marvel. So she's also going to be in the Marvel team-up book with Spider-Man, and I think it's the two of them all the time. But if you're a really big fan of her, she's also in Champions, which will be coming out. I'm Not Gay Champions by Jim Zub. I probably should. I probably would enjoy that too. My nose is tickling. At any rate, so March 13th, the new Ms. Marvel comes out. Curious to see what it ends up being like and whatnot. So reading my comments here. Abbott was really good. Yes, it was. I liked it just as much for the art. I mean, there's some art, some paneling, the coloring in that book that was just amazing. I really would like to see those people do more, either more stories of Abbott or something else along those lines. So the Ms. Marvel omnibus. I'm assuming the Ms. Marvel omnibus is Carol Danvers' Ms. Marvel. Is that the omnibus? Because there isn't an omnibus out of Kamala, is there? I mean, if there is, cool. I didn't realize that. But said early jet. Let's see. That's my only Marvel book. Marvel news. It's official. All the Marvel shows are canceled down. I don't remember if I talked about that last week or not. With Netflix, they're all gone. I've seen the showrunners and some Marvel people kind of imply that they just kind of grew apart. And that didn't necessarily mean that there wouldn't be these Marvel shows wouldn't exist someplace else. So I don't know if that's a tease that if Disney ever gets around doing their own streaming service, that those shows will be on their streaming service or not. I have no idea. I'm about halfway through this latest season of The Punisher. I have been enjoying it. Probably one of the things I will do tonight after I get done with the show, I will go and probably watch a whole bunch more of that after I'm done here. But I've been enjoying that. And so we've got one season more of Jessica Jones to come out, and hopefully it can redeem itself because I didn't like season 2 of Jessica Jones. And then they're done. So Stay Puft says that it was the Kamala Khan. Cool. Yeah, I don't know how much the omnibus takes on the first run. Okay, before they renumbered it. Yeah, I really like that stuff. That early stuff especially was especially good. So cool. I don't know of any other Marvel news. I haven't really heard much publishing wise from them. I know the big thing that's coming up is the War of the Realms, which I am not participating in at all. Other than that, I haven't really heard much news. Other than I just saw on Twitter that Donny Cates, the writer of Venom, is getting death threats for whatever he wrote in Venom number 11. Seriously, it does not matter how bad I might hate a comic, and there have been some horrible comics. I have read some comics that I was almost irritated that somebody suckered me into spending the money on them. But I would never threaten a creator's life over anything that would be in them, even if they completely destroyed a character and for me, and it made it to where I could never read the character again. I would just whatever. Cannot deal with that. It's just nuts. Eric Longbox Review is here, and he's saying War of the Realms. So clearly Eric is excited about the event book that I will not be touching any piece of. So if you want to know about it, you can check it out, because I'm sure he'll talk about it at some point, because I won't have anything to do with it. Anyway, I can't think of any other Marvel news. So I'm going to go talk some DC books. First up, I am going to talk Justice League Dark, issue number 8. Have you read it yet, Eric? So I really like this issue. I continue to like the Justice League Dark. I love the characters in it. I like this issue in that we get to see these great shots of just tons of magical characters. Clearly the artist, I would think, would be having a fun time drawing some of these spreads in the bar, in the magical bar, Oblivion Bar, is that what it's called? Where it's showing just lots and lots of magical characters in the background. I guess it's interesting that to some degree Man-Bat continues to kind of be the focus. He's one of the focuses in the book, and I find that entertaining, because of course he himself is not magic, and he is looking at magic from a scientific standpoint, which is kind of a different kind of a look at stuff as to what he can or can't do, what's coming next. Yeah, I'm super excited about. We're gonna get some heavyweight stuff going on in it, and Fate is showing back up again, and I don't know. The new version of Order is to like completely eliminate, magic, which is really strange because doesn't that kind of screw Fate if he ends up being part of that whole shutting magic down, or does he think if they shut magic down, they're gonna mess with the others? So I don't know. But anyway, really enjoying this. This is the best of the Justice League books, as Eric is saying in the comments. It is by far. I've actually dropped the rest of them. I have a few issues left of Justice League to read, but I've dropped all the others. This is the only Justice League book I will be picking up going forward. So, hey Rez, how's it going? Yes, my beard, my lovely, lovely beard, my mustache. Let's talk Detective Comics. Detective Comics 998. I am having problems with Detective Comics right now. I have been going, gosh, it feels to me like it just like Batman's voice is wrong, and I don't think that's actually it. This is Tomasi Red Monkey drawn with Mendoza on inks, colored by Irwin, I believe. It's either that or Boward. But I just don't like the way Batman reacts to everything in this, or maybe that's the issue. It's always a reaction. So he yells and punches things, and that's all he does. He's kind of, since the first beginning of this story arc, he seemed like a detective. Now he seems to have the detective sense to show up wherever the next attack is going to happen, but then seems blindsided by the attack once he gets there. And yeah, there's just, he seems very, I don't know, maybe it's because it feels to me like now the Batman book is very sophisticated, is a sophisticated Batman and a sophisticated story. Despite in the Batman book, he's very primal in it also, but it just seems less yell and punch at it largely. And so I don't know. And this seems to be just kind of I know it's a build up to the Detective Comics 1000, and it's kind of like each issue is like a who's who of him going to somebody else that supposedly he engaged with in the past, and so he can interact with them again. This time we get to have him interact with Jason Blood and Etrigan, which I love the characters. Don't get me wrong, they're great characters. Some great art in this, but I'm just not really excited about it. So I don't have real high hopes for what comes after this. Different artists after this, but Tomasi's on the book going forward. And it's really weird because I have loved all of I love all of his Batman. I've enjoyed his Batman and Robin. All of Tomasi Batman has been great. But I don't know. So Eric is asking me, is the punchiness due to him being at the end of his bat rope? Possibly, but I'm not feeling that though. I'm not feeling that he is stretched. I don't know. It doesn't have. I don't feel like I've been drug along with Batman to feel that sort of intensity. I guess for him to be. I mean, he's at the end of his bat rope in the Batman book too. But for some reason, that feels sophisticated, and this doesn't. Him just wading into Arkham casually and beating the hell out of everybody for the sake of beating the hell out of them just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep getting this Detective Comics. Detective Comics is one of those comics I always buy, but I don't know. I'm just not. I'm not feeling it. So, I would not recommend it, I guess is what I'm saying. Wonder Woman, issue number 64. I am dropping this. I am not enjoying it. I'm really surprised. I was all excited for Gila Wilson to be on the book. That we're going to get some new exploration of Wonder Woman. I like Kale. I like Kale quite a bit. I like this character. She makes sense that she would be in the book with the kind of the realm that Ares was trapped in, was also where Kale's daughter was trapped at. So when that realm disappears, obviously something happens to the daughter. And if that's the case, she's going to come, out of her woodwork and come after Wonder Woman. The art in this was good. I really enjoyed the art in it. The paneling, the coloring, all largely smart. Shockingly, the dialogue in a lot of places felt really dumb to me. Just almost bubbly-headed Wonder Woman. And I like the idea. Kale is going after Wonder Woman by basically saying she's a danger, she's a menace to society, kind of like Lex Luthor does with Superman. You're not sanctioned, and so therefore you're making your own judgments, and you're a judge, and you're arresting people or attacking people without foreknowledge and whatnot. She kind of gets Wonder Woman to buy. Wonder Woman shows up, attacks this woman, which makes no sense. Wonder Woman shows up. There's some mist and whatnot. A person comes out of the mist. She's down the bottom of this pit, and she immediately strikes at this person without even knowing who they are. And I just don't I don't know. It's not Wonder Woman to me. It makes zero sense as far as I'm concerned. Her reaction. But like I said, there's an idea that might be good. I also like the idea of Aphrodite wandering around. But the Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman parts of the book are not good. The dialogue there is uncomfortably awkward as far as I'm concerned. And I'm dropping the book again, as much as I don't want to, because I want to collect a Wonder Woman book because I love the Wonder Woman character. I'm not gonna do that. I don't got time. I don't got time for a bunch of mediocre books. So the ones that don't at least strike some fancy with me, you guys, or I have a high enough expectation. When they don't meet that expectation, I'm disgusted enough that I don't want to participate in continuing to get it and going, I could really like Wonder Woman, but I don't like this Wonder Woman. So, yeah. Anyway, look at the comments. Wonder Woman hasn't been the same since Rucka left the book. Yes, largely true. One of it that I've collected because I dropped it for a while because it was not going where I wanted to go to. Certainly the James Robinson stuff with the Jason brother of Wonder Woman, that was all really bad. Really took the character in a direction, or took the book, not even the character, took the book in a direction that it should have never gone, as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah. Better or worse since Rucka left? It's worse. I like the Rucka stuff. Eric, I know you didn't like the Rucka stuff, but I did. Yet I have not been enjoying this. It's largely been a bummer. It really has. And finally, for my DC books is the Wonder Twins. I think this is the only of the Wonder comics I am getting. Issue number 1, of course, written by Russell, art by Byrne. I'm getting it. I'm getting it completely for the fact that Russell's writing it. He's been pretty close to genius on all of the stuff that he has done for DC, at least as far as the Flintstones go, Snagglepuss goes. So I knew him taking on this book that he would probably potentially have something to say about something. And I really enjoy a writer when they could take your standard superhero comic book stuff or standard stuff that you would not expect to get much out of, and add a whole nother layer to the book beyond the what you see is what you get sort of stuff. I really enjoyed this issue. It was a lot of fun. I am of the era that the Super Friends came out when you got these two characters, the Wonder Twins, and their wonderful powers. And Gleek and whatnot. So this is basically the Wonder Twins have come to Earth. They are from another planet. They're somewhat exiled from that planet due to some embarrassing events that happened on their planet. Superman has brought them to Earth. They are trying to be typical high school students. They are trying to be typical high school students and just kind of get along with everybody and find their way in the world and whatnot. Jan feels very out of place. She's kind of the quiet, nerdy girl to some degree. And Zan is trying to be the cool kid in class. Yeah, he's doing everything he can to try and be hip and get the girls. And it all kind of blows up in his face in somewhat, despite being super powered, somewhat stereotypical kinds of ways that happens with teens and all the awkward stuff that goes on with being a teen in high school. They deal with Metroplex in this, and that's kind of fun. There's some good yucks in the book. I am looking forward to issue 2 to see if we explore some more stuff. There's a couple winks and nods at kind of poking at society in one fashion or another that I really do like about Russell, that he puts in a lot of his stuff and whatnot. Please tell me they say Wonder Twins powers activate. You know what? They don't, because I don't think at any point. Well, I guess there is one point. There is one point where it's Wonder Twin powers activate. Yes, there it is. There's the money shot, Eric. There's the money shot. He's turning into water, and she is turning into a bird, and they're racing to school. He turns to water and goes down through the sewers and finds out that Earth's sewers, or at least Metropolis's sewers, are disgusting, and that's not a way to travel. So, but no, there's some good stuff in here. There is a great lining here about both Batman and Superman both give kind of stories about embarrassing things that happened to them when they were in high school. And there's one where Batman writes a love letter to a girl to the sung, and it's a song, actually poetry sung to the tune of "How Deep Is Your Love" by the Bee Gees. And so for the rest of that year, Bruce got referred to as BG. So now Wonder Woman has started calling him BG in this comic, which I think is funny. So anytime you can take those serious characters and make them kind of fun, it's fun. 6 issues, I believe this is. So anyway, not as deep as some of the other books that he has written, at least not yet. But I still really enjoyed it. So that's my DC books, because this is a light week for me on DC books. Gotta have a drink. So, DC news. So my understanding is, I haven't looked up all the stuff or read up on it completely. The big DC news is DC is going to reduce the amount of titles that they are producing, not as extreme or as radical or for the dire reasons that the comic book site that I will not name has kind of put out articles on initially. DC has actually produced some of their own content around it, and there's a couple other more reliable news sourced sites that have commented on the on some of the books and whatnot. So they're going to reduce the amount of books that they're producing and focus on some other types of productions. I don't know if that means there's more of a focus on the Walmart portions of it and whatnot. All stuff that I need to look into deeper. I figure I'll end up looking into that deeper the next time I do a late breaking news with Eric on Longbox Review. I'm sure that's where I'll talk about it a bunch. So I don't know. I mean, I have 2 thoughts just off the top of my head about it, not knowing tons around it. A reduction in the number of titles isn't necessarily a bad thing. The question is what titles are going to continue to exist? Is it going to just be dominantly Batman books? And the spattering of Superman books, and that is it? What books are going to go away? I mean, I know like Green Arrow is finishing up. I don't know how many other books are, going to be finishing up, but does that leave no room for exploration of odd or strange things, or the reduction in the regular line of books? Does that take up, or that reduction make up for the fact that, of course, there's these wonder comic books that are coming out? So the entire DC line stays somewhere around the same as it is now, and it's just spread out amongst these different little imprints, kind of a thing, as opposed to trying to run, whatever it is. I don't know how many books DC's putting out right now, as far as just under the normal stuff, and then you've got the supposed Black Label books, and you've got the Wonder comic books. Does Vertigo fall into this too, or is Vertigo its own sort of a thing? I don't know. But yeah, other news that's coming out, DC wise. Speaking of reducing the number of books, but here we're going to get some other books that kind of surprised me, because they would not, what I would not consider, I would not consider these to be the type of book that you would bank money on, sort of thing. So I find this interesting. And Eric Longbucks, you just made the comment, less chance taking, more Batman yawn. But they're coming out with the Lois Lane book that is going to be an ongoing. I don't know if it really will be an ongoing. With Greg Rucka writing it, and I'm drawing a blank on the artist right now. Shoot. Anyway, there's going to be a Lois Lane book, and there's going to be a Jimmy Olsen book. And the Jimmy Olsen book is going to be written by Matt Fraction and art by Steve Labor. And I'm getting both those books. I mean, the Lois Lane, Greg Rucka book for me is a no-brainer. That's an easy purchase. Rumor had been that this book might have been coming, and I had already figured I'd buy it as soon as the rumors hit. Now, the Jimmy Olsen book, normally would not be picking up a Jimmy Olsen book, but a Matt Fraction writing DC for the first time, write a Jimmy Olsen book on top of that. I'm intrigued. What possibly could he want to say using a Jimmy Olsen character? I'm deeply fascinated by that. Both Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen had fairly long-running books, I believe, into the hundreds, back in the 70s and early 80s, possibly, I want to say. But at any rate, so I'm really curious. I'm curious to see if the Jimmy Olsen book's going to be on the humor side of things. I do remember what little bit of the Jimmy Olsen stuff that I've seen, like covers and whatnot. It seems to be typically zany stuff is happening to Jimmy Olsen in the Jimmy Olsen book. He gets super tall, or he gets superpowers, or he gets turned into a donkey, or all of this weird stuff that happens to Jimmy Olsen. And I don't know, is that what the book's going to be like now? I get the Lois Lane book. The Lois Lane book, I can see a story with that. She's the intrepid reporter. She's the award-winning reporter. So you could do all kinds of adventure with her, all kinds of intriguing sort of stuff where they want to take that. But I don't know the Jimmy Olsen book. What's it going to be like? Is it going to be like the old? Is it going to take from the old book, or what? So I'm excited for both. I'm excited to read the Fraction book. I pick up about anything that Fraction writes or attempts to write to start out with, anyway. Typically, Silverman did Superior Foes of Spider-Man, which I love that book. He also did the art on The Fix, so I like his art style. His art style tends to lend towards having some really good comedic gags and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if that's what's going to be or not, but I'm excited about it. I'll be picking up both those books. Which, like I said, is curious if they'd be putting those books out when they're reducing the number of books that they are supposedly going to be producing by, what was it, 5%, 12%? I don't remember. But yeah, so interesting stuff. I can't think of any other DC type news. But anyway, so we're gonna go on to the independent books. I'll talk a little bit about these. I've got a few. Let's start House of Whispers. Anybody who watches Sandman videos knows this is my least favorite of the Sandman universe books. I've kind of, at about issue 3, I started skim reading the book basically because I just haven't enjoyed the first arc of it. I noticed with last issue that Dan Waters' name has been attached to the book. He writes Lucifer, which is my favorite of the Sandman universe books. So I read this one a little closer, kind of going, okay, if his name's attached to it now also, along with the other writer on the book, what is he doing? Can I tell what he's doing in the book? And I think I can. I love this cover, though. I think I can. Towards the beginning of the book, and man, if somebody knows exactly what parts he wrote and didn't write, cool, let me know. So towards the beginning of the book, we get Monday is doing a little bit of traveling to into the Dreams library. He's looking for a particular book. He attempts to steal some books and runs from the Denzians of the realm of the dreaming. The realm of the dreaming right now is largely controlled by an evil force. If you're reading that book, so he's running from the Denzians of the dream, gets himself lost, and we get this large, wonderful gorgeous two-page spread, which kind of tells his history of him as a boy, who his mother and father were, how he was raised, what happens to him being pulled into enslavement, him ending up in the Georgia, Florida area, traveling down and teaming up with the I'm drawing a blank right off the top. The Seminole Indians, and then and his views and religion and whatnot tying with theirs, and him basically becoming a giant alligator, and his the few of his brethren that have followed him end up being the crocodiles too, and their power and whatnot. And so I think that's the part that he wrote. This issue ends with them kind of traveling out of the dreamland. So hopefully this means that we can get some other story being told, and we'll move away from these women, which I don't think we're going to get away from them. I liked them in the initial Sandman book, teasing all this new stuff, but have not liked them since then. I thought we were going to get away from them. We're not. But because it's part of the Vertigo deal, I'll keep picking it up, and I liked parts of this. And I'm glad that whole arc is done. So maybe the next arc is going to be stronger. So I will probably, the next issue, I will not skim read. I'll probably read it solidly through again. Just because, but I'll get it, like I said, because I get it 50% off. So I'll keep picking it up. It's cheaper for me to get it than it is to not get it and not get the rest of the Vertigo books at 50% off. And I will say out the cover also, the American Gothic knockoff of the cover is pretty awesome too. So anyway, so the part I think that was Dan Waters I liked, the rest of it was, okay, fine. They're done with it, so that's good. But we'll see what's next as far as that goes. Let's go ahead and talk another Vertigo book. So it is Goddess Mode. Wonderful art by Robbie Rodriguez with colors by Rico Renez. Written by Zoe Quinn. The basic idea of the book is we're in a, near future where we are completely inundated by the internet. We're virtually hooked up to it almost all the time in some sense or another. Most of the work, the advertising, everything is done through the internet. And this group of women has somehow been pulled into the internet physically. And while they are in the internet, they basically are superpowered. They have magical abilities, and those magical abilities then reach out of the internet. They can actually, when they're in their physical forms, create some power. Our main character is kind of a misfit. She's like the goddess of magic over junk. What the hell does that mean? In this issue, we kind of find out partially what that means. They fight some demons. The internet, basically, this realm is attacking the people who are using it. It is trying to kill them in particular. She's trying to figure out who knows if that they understand that the internet is actually a living organism. Do they know that? Who knows it? What's the responsibility around that and stuff? So there's some exploring around that. I'm enjoying it. I like the concept. Like I said, I love the art in it. I love the bright colors of it. All works really well. I think there are aspects of it that could probably be executed better than what it is. But like I said, I'm enjoying it, and I'm interested to see where it goes. Largely because it's dealing with a story idea that I like. I like cyber worlds and that sort of thing, and this is kind of a exploration of kind of an odd portion of that. So there's some intrigue in it that I'm interested in also. So, but yeah, the Robbi Rodriguez, like I said, here, we'll look at some art. I've got time, nothing but time. Let's see here. So like I said, colors are really bright and flashy when they are in the internet. I like the style of it. I could have sworn, though, I thought Robbi Rodriguez was retiring. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought he was doing like Spider-Gwen for a while, right? But he was having to quit because I thought his eyesight was going. Clearly not. So, or maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. I do know, but I've liked this art for a long time. It was the artist, I believe, on BPHD. BPHD? No, BP. B is it BPH? BHP? Bureau of Physics something or other. Yeah, can't remember. Old Vertigo title. But yeah, not bad. I've been enjoying it. Let's see. We got a few books left here. Let's talk this Black Mask book. This is issue number 3 of Sex, Death, and Revolution, written by Magdalene Vizigo, which is the biggest reason I picked it up because I really enjoyed her Eternity Girl. So I thought I would check this out and see what some of her other stuff is like. This is okay. So it has to do with magic, and it has to do with like creating your own reality and functioning within that reality. And then having somebody, in this case, we have a woman who's kind of designed her own world around her coven, that she's part of a witch's coven. The coven has fallen apart, and she's finding out that somebody else is rewriting her own history. So she does not know exactly who she is. She is a trans woman. And I have a certain amount of confusion with the book just because I'm having problems keeping track of all of the characters that are in it. So this is kind of a exploration of changing who you are and then having the people around you attempt to change you, kind of a thing. Set in kind of a magic realism place. To me, this issue felt like there were some winks and nods to Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey's Phonogram books, with the way kind of magic works and that sort of thing. So I'm interested in what's going on, but I feel a bit lost at times, and I'm not sure what assumptions I'm supposed to make or not make. Sort of a thing. And so it seems it's because we're dealing with subject matter that I don't have a wide breadth of experience with this trans woman. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to be taking some of the things that are going on in it. So she's transitioned. Now it's like it's like this other person is rewriting her history to force that change back. So now I'm not sure if she wanted to go back. Did she use magic to make the transition easier? And I think I'm supposed to be confused by all of that, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm looking forward to the next issue because I'm hoping it kind of solidifies because the characters are all confused too. And I'm okay with being confused along with them as long as at some point they're going to take me out of the deep water and make it so I'm not so confused. So so I like the idea of the comic, and I'm hoping that my confusion I'm supposed to be having, and I'm not just dim and not be able to grasp what's going on in it. Next up, let's talk Criminal. The Criminal book is back. This is issue number 2. Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips book. This issue does not take off where issue 1 left at. So this issue has to do with the comic book community and stuff. And at the end of it, Ed Brubaker makes it a point of saying, look, this is not based on anything that's reality. Some of the names are totally fictional, and some of the names that are in this are 100% real people. They name drop, Stan. I'm trying to think of some of the other right offhand, Jerry Conway. They name a bunch of people. And so it made it fun. It made it almost tantalizing that this character here, who to me seems like Gil Kane. They call him something different in here, but I read the whole thing thinking, oh, they're referencing Gil Kane through this whole thing. What is his name? Let me tell you. Hal Crane. Hal Crane is the guy's name. At any rate, so he is an old comic book creator. He our main character in this issue has been hired to haul him around this Comic Con. And it's in the 80s. It's 1997. It's, the comic book world is supposed to be falling apart. They go to the con, and the con seems to be thriving. There's some interesting commentary on comics there. There's some great stories in this that are totally fictional, but boy, it's really easy to buy into them as being real. He is looking for some comic book art back that was basically stolen from him. And he wants the Criminal that's in this issue to steal back from him. So Criminal is going to be kind of an anthology-ish style book. You're not always going to get the same story attached from issue to issue, which is cool by me. I'm okay with that. That first issue had to do with them, a kid stealing money from a wrestler, old-time wrestler guy from Japan, and the mob and stuff like that. And that was all really interesting. So I'm okay with it hopping around from different story, kind of keeping things different or whatever. I will say though, and I said this with issue number 1, Jacob Phillips is doing the coloring on the book now, as opposed to the old colorist that used to be on all their stuff, Bruce Weiser. And I don't know why she was dropped. My guess is it was due to politics, but I have no idea. So I probably shouldn't even float that out there. But I think Phillips' art is degraded, colored the way it is. I wish I had an old book of theirs here so I could show you the difference between the coloring in it. Because this book is using the exact same palette that Sean Phillips' work has always been done in this palette since Ed Brubaker and Phillips have been doing independent books. It's the same palette. It's just not colored as strongly. If you pick up their last book, Kill or Be Killed, versus this, and I'm telling you, the Kill or Be Killed stuff is just a lot better color-wise. Is this going to keep me from like these blobs of colors instead of being accurate, purposeful hues that were in here? This feels very blobular and more like an illustration that would be that would be in a magazine, as opposed to what the comic book art looks like in some of the older stuff and whatnot. And I just don't think it's as strong. Is it going to keep me from reading the book? No, it's still a great book. It's still enjoyable. The art's still good. I just think that this coloring makes me less excited about reading these books. I think knowing how well this was colored, I think this takes away from it. So I'm not a fan of this style of coloring. It just reminds me of like if I was opening up a magazine from the mid 70s, like when I was a kid, and there'd be a quick illustration in one corner while I'm reading about fishing in Field and Stream, and it's a quick illustration up there with some blotches of color to add something to the page while I read about whatever it is that whatever it is that is there. So, I'm being asked, would I buy a criminal coloring book? No, probably not, because I'm not a colorer currently. So I probably would not. But anyway, and Eric is saying that Brubaker and Phillips have done no wrong for me yet. And I'm not saying they've done wrong. I'm just saying it was better. It was better, I think, than what it is now. The style of coloring has taken away from it. And finally, this time, I'm going to talk about Gideon Falls. The first thing I want to talk about is, can you see the face on this cover? This is Gideon Falls, issue number 11. Every single cover, the A cover is a face. I cannot see the face in this to save my life. I've asked the creators in a roundabout way, and it has been nothing but silence. So I am really torn as to where the hell the face is on this cover. Despite that, I continue to really like this book. Andre Sorrentino and Dave Stewart's art on the book continues to be awesome in this. The panel work as they drift between kind of two realities with this black barn, I think is done exceptionally well. The story twist by the end of the issue is really interesting. I'm really curious to see how these people interact with each other now, as two characters that started out in different places in two different Gideon Falls have now swapped places. And what does that mean? Less trouble for Norton, I believe, other than Norton's kind of a head case. And so how he's going to handle this, I'm not sure. But how the priest is going to handle it now is going to be, it's going to be, I don't know. It's going to be really intriguing. The thing that's in the middle that causes this thing be outside of the black barn, and the entity that kind of, it seems to be hanging with the black barn that kind of got brought into being or slipped in when this man was monkeying with new technology, the quasi Tesla coil stuff that's going on there. Not sure about that guy and his little bit of stuff. There's some stuff with him that I don't know, that this goofy thing and whatnot seems a little on the strange side or whatever. I didn't think that was the strong point. This page though is awesome as the kind of splitting of the two realities and folding back together these two different Gideon Falls. One clearly a much more modern New York seeming kind of thing, and another one more of a sleepy farm town sort of a deal. And then we get into Bugs. I'm not sure why we fall into Bugs, and then we get the creepy smiling guy. So amongst a bunch of other stuff. Definitely enjoying this. I'm just really intrigued to see where the story goes from here. Like I said, with the ending, the twist at the end of this issue. I know this is picked up as being a TV show somewhere. Boy, comics do stuff really, really well, and sometimes I just can't see how movie or television, how the big or little screen are going to take on some of the stuff that was in here. The stuff you can do with panel work and movement in a comic book, I just don't know how you do with film. So I'm guessing this is going to be the superior content. Would be my guess. Now, as long as it's not a new streaming service that I'm going to have to pay for, I will probably watch Gideon Falls when it comes out, if it ever actually makes it to actually being an actual show. If for no other reason, just to see how they tackle that stuff in there, because I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine how it's going to work. So anyway, in the comments, Mike Humple is saying that everyone's doing bugs now. Yes. Well, because bugs are creepy, right? I mean, bugs are the closest thing we have to actual aliens, I think, on the planet. Anyway, he also says that he didn't think that Umbrella Academy would translate to TV, but he was totally wrong. I haven't started watching the Umbrella Academy yet. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm finishing up The Punisher, and then I will be jumping into that. I'm watching Deadly Class. Matter of fact, when I get done here, that's the first thing I'm watching is Deadly Class. Then I'm going to watch some Punisher. I've really been enjoying Deadly Class. It is extremely intriguing to watch it in comparison to the comic. They have put fuckface into the story, which I find is really interesting. And they have 100% implied that he is having sex with animals and all that, which I know when Deadly Class first came out, that put a lot of people out the book. I know a lot of people dropped the book when that happened, when that aspect of it happened. Huge mistake. The book is awesome. And the show has been really fun. The characters are top notch. Like the characters, the plot does not follow directly what goes on in the comic, but that's okay. But still, anyway, good stuff. That's it. It's a short show. Make up for the 3 hours and 22 minutes of last week. I hope to be back next week, and we'll talk some more comics then. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. Anybody who watches this after the fact, have a great one.